Welcome to my channel Starwire Daily. Please share and subscribe and press the bell icon for new updates. Picture this. It's 2009 and on the set of a little-known film called The Rum Diary, two souls are about to collide in what would become one of Hollywood's most explosive love stories and its most devastating downfall. Johnny Depp, the enigmatic pirate captain who had stolen hearts worldwide, was about to meet a fiery young actress named Amber Heard. What started as stolen glances between takes would eventually tear through courtrooms, shatter reputations, and divide the internet like no celebrity scandal before it. But here's what most people don't know. The real story began long before those first headlines hit. Tonight, we're diving deep into the shadows behind the glamour, uncovering the intimate details that turned a Hollywood fairy tale into a legal nightmare that captivated the world. Welcome back to Starwire Daily, where we uncover the truth behind the glitter and gold. Let's rewind to 2009. Johnny Depp was at the peak of his career. The Pirates of the Caribbean franchise had made him one of the highest-paid actors in Hollywood, and his quirky, mysterious persona had earned him a devoted global fan base. But behind the success, Johnny was struggling. His long-term relationship with French actress Vanessa Paradis, mother to his two children, was quietly unraveling after 14 years together. Enter Amber Heard, a 23-year-old Texan with striking blonde hair, piercing blue eyes, and an ambition that burned as bright as the Hollywood sign. She wasn't just another pretty face trying to make it in Tinseltown. Amber had already carved out a niche playing strong, complex characters, and she carried herself with a confidence that was impossible to ignore. The chemistry between Johnny and Amber on The Rum Diary set was electric. Crew members later described watching them work together as witnessing something magnetic and dangerous. Johnny, then 46, was immediately drawn to Amber's intelligence and fierce independence. She challenged him in ways he hadn't experienced in years. For Amber, Johnny represented everything she had dreamed of: talent, success, and a gateway into Hollywood's inner circle. But here's where the story takes its first dark turn. Johnny was still with Vanessa, still living the life of a committed partner and father. Yet the connection with Amber was undeniable, and it was about to change everything. By 2012, Johnny and Vanessa had officially separated, and whispers began circulating about his relationship with his much younger co-star. The paparazzi went into overdrive, capturing every stolen moment between the unlikely pair. Johnny, known for his private nature, seemed different with Amber. More open, more playful, almost like he was rediscovering a part of himself he'd forgotten. Their relationship moved fast, dangerously fast. Within months, they were practically inseparable. Amber was seen wearing Johnny's jewelry, spending time with his children, and accompanying him to industry events where she commanded attention with her stunning looks and sharp wit. The age gap raised eyebrows, sure, but Hollywood had seen stranger pairings work. What nobody anticipated was the intensity that would define their relationship. A passionate, all-consuming connection that seemed to feed off drama and extremes. February 2015, and Johnny Depp was getting married again. The ceremony took place on Johnny's private island in the Bahamas, a 45-acre paradise called Little Halls Pond Cay. Picture this: crystal-clear waters, white sand beaches, and a guest list that read like a who's who of Hollywood royalty. But this wasn't just any celebrity wedding. This was Johnny Depp's fairy tale, and Amber was his princess. Amber looked absolutely breathtaking in her flowing bohemian dress, her hair adorned with flowers, barefoot on the beach like something out of a dream. Johnny, ever the romantic, had written his own vows, and those who were there said there wasn't a dry eye on the island. It seemed like the perfect Hollywood ending. The mysterious, brooding star finding love again with a beautiful, ambitious actress. But even in those early days of marriage, there were whispers. Friends close to the couple noticed the intensity wasn't always positive. Their love was passionate, yes, but it was also volatile. Arguments were as frequent as the romantic gestures, and both Johnny and Amber seemed to thrive on the emotional extremes. Behind closed doors, their relationship was becoming a roller coaster of epic highs and devastating lows. Johnny's lifestyle, the parties, the drinking, the rock and roll approach to life was beginning to clash with Amber's more structured ambitions. She wanted to build her career, attend premieres, network with industry power players. He wanted to escape from it all, to lose himself in music and art and the freedom that fame had both given and taken from him. The cracks started showing publicly in 2015. Amber was photographed with what appeared to be bruises, though at the time, these images didn't generate much attention. Johnny's behavior was becoming increasingly erratic. Missed filming days, reports of excessive drinking, and a growing distance from the people who had supported him for years. What the public didn't know was that behind the glamorous facade, a storm was brewing. Friends from both sides later revealed that the couple's fights were legendary. Not just arguments, but explosive confrontations that would leave both of them emotionally drained and the people around them walking on eggshells. Amber began confiding in close friends about feeling trapped and afraid. Meanwhile, Johnny's inner circle worried about his mental state and his increasing reliance on substances to cope with the pressures of his failing marriage and career challenges. The breaking point came faster than anyone expected. May 21st, 2016, a date that would change both of their lives forever. Amber Heard filed for divorce from Johnny Depp after just 15 months of marriage, citing irreconcilable differences. But that was just the beginning. Days later, she appeared in court with a visible bruise on her face, requesting a restraining order against Johnny and alleging domestic abuse. The entertainment world stopped. Johnny Depp, the beloved Captain Jack Sparrow, the quirky artist who had charmed audiences for decades, was being accused of domestic violence by his own wife. The images of Amber with the bruise spread like wildfire across social media and entertainment news. Suddenly, everyone had an opinion. Team Johnny versus Team Amber. The battle lines were drawn, and they cut right through the heart of Hollywood. Johnny's representatives vehemently denied the allegations, calling them salacious false stories and suggesting that Amber was attempting a premature financial resolution. But the damage was done. Disney quietly began distancing itself from Johnny, and other studios followed suit. What happened next was a masterclass in modern celebrity warfare. Both sides began leaking information to the press, painting vastly different pictures of their relationship. Amber's team portrayed her as a victim who had finally found the courage to speak her truth. Johnny's supporters painted her as a manipulative opportunist who was trying to destroy a good man for financial gain. The divorce proceedings became a media circus. Every court filing, every leaked audio recording, every paparazzi photo was dissected and analyzed by millions of people who felt personally invested in the outcome. But here's what made this different from other celebrity divorces. This wasn't just about money or custody. This was about something much more fundamental. Who was telling the truth? The settlement came in August 2016. $7 million to Amber, which she pledged to donate to charity. A joint statement saying they would move forward with respect for one another. It seemed like the end of the story. It wasn't even close to the beginning of the end. For 3 years, an uneasy peace held. Johnny tried to rebuild his career and reputation. Amber continued working, becoming increasingly involved in activism, particularly around domestic violence awareness. She wrote op-eds, gave speeches, and became a face of the #MeToo movement. But Johnny was struggling. The allegations had cost him millions. Movie deals disappeared, his reputation was in tatters, and the court of public opinion seemed to have already reached its verdict. His legal team was building a case, gathering evidence, preparing for what they believed would be their chance to clear his name. The tension finally exploded in 2019 when Johnny filed a defamation lawsuit against a British tabloid that had called him a wife-beater. This wasn't just about money. This was about his legacy, his children's future, and his fundamental belief that the truth needed to come out. But nothing, and I mean nothing, could have prepared the world for what happened when Johnny decided to sue Amber directly. March 2022. Fairfax County, Virginia. The most watched celebrity trial since O.J. Simpson was about to begin, and the entire world was about to get a front row seat to the most intimate, disturbing, and controversial details of a marriage that had been destroyed by its own intensity. Johnny was suing Amber for $50 million, claiming her 2018 op-ed about domestic abuse had destroyed his career and reputation. Amber countersued for $100 million, alleging that Johnny's legal team had orchestrated a campaign to discredit her. What unfolded over 6 weeks was unlike anything anyone had ever seen. Every day brought new revelations, explosive testimony, and moments that would instantly become memes and viral content across social media platforms. The evidence presented painted a picture of a relationship that was toxic from both sides. Audio recordings revealed heated arguments, manipulative behavior, and mutual psychological warfare. Text messages showed Johnny's drug use and violent fantasies. Photos allegedly showed injuries and damage to property. But it was the testimony that truly captivated audiences. Johnny, taking the stand in his own defense, was alternately charming, vulnerable, and defiant. He spoke about his childhood abuse, his struggles with addiction, and his devastation at losing his children's respect. Amber's testimony was equally compelling and controversial. She described alleged incidents of abuse in graphic detail, breaking down in tears as she recounted what she claimed were the darkest moments of her life. The world watched, transfixed, as intimate recordings were played in open court. In one particularly damaging audio clip, Amber could be heard telling Johnny, "Tell the world, Johnny, tell them Johnny Depp, a man, I'm a victim too of domestic violence. See how many people believe or side with you." Social media exploded with reactions, memes, and conspiracy theories. Hashtag Justice for Johnny Depp trended globally, while hashtag I Stand With Amber Heard fought for space in the digital conversation. Expert witnesses testified about domestic abuse patterns, substance addiction, and the psychological impact of public relationships. Mental health professionals analyzed both parties, and the jury was forced to navigate not just the legal questions, but the broader cultural moment around gender, power, and believing victims. The trial revealed text messages where Johnny had written about wanting to burn and drown Amber, followed by even more graphic language. But it also revealed manipulative behavior from Amber, including what appeared to be staged photographs and inconsistent testimony about key events. Every day brought new bombshells, stories about severed fingertips, feces in beds, and psychological manipulation that painted both parties as deeply troubled individuals who had brought out the worst in each other. June 1st, 2022. After deliberating for 3 days, the jury reached their verdict. Johnny Depp had won. The jury found that Amber Heard had defamed him and awarded him over $10 million in damages. Amber won a smaller victory on one aspect of her countersuit, receiving $2 million. But the real victory for Johnny wasn't financial. It was vindication. The jury had essentially said they believed his version of events over hers, and the public reaction was swift and overwhelming. Social media erupted in celebration for Johnny. Hashtag Johnny Depp is innocent trended worldwide. Fans gathered outside the courthouse cheering. His legal team was treated like conquering heroes. For Amber, the verdict was devastating. Not only had she lost the case, but she had become one of the most hated figures on the internet. Death threats poured in, her career prospects evaporated, and she faced a future where her name would forever be associated with this trial. But here's what's really fascinating about this story. It became about so much more than just Johnny and Amber. This trial happened at a crucial moment in cultural history, when society was grappling with hashtag MeToo, cancel culture, and the question of how we determine truth in he said, she said situations. The case revealed the double-edged sword of social media justice. The same platforms that had initially supported Amber as a domestic violence survivor later turned against her with a vengeance that felt almost mob-like in its intensity. Johnny's victory was seen by many as a triumph against false accusations and trial by social media. Others viewed it as a devastating blow to domestic violence survivors who might now be afraid to speak out. The truth, as it often is, was probably somewhere in the complex middle. Both Johnny and Amber seemed to be individuals who had hurt each other in profound ways, caught in a relationship dynamic that was toxic and destructive for everyone involved. So where are they now? Johnny Depp's career is slowly rebuilding. He's returned to independent films. His band, the Hollywood Vampires, is touring again, and public opinion has largely swung back in his favor. He's found a kind of redemption, though the scars from this battle will likely never fully heal. Amber Heard has largely disappeared from public view. She's moved to Spain with her daughter, away from the Hollywood machine that both made and ultimately broke her. Her acting career remains in limbo, and her public image may never recover from the trial's aftermath. The case has had lasting implications for how we discuss domestic violence, celebrity culture, and the power of social media to shape narratives. Legal experts still debate whether justice was truly served, while cultural commentators continue to dissect what the trial revealed about our society's relationship with fame, gender, and truth. What strikes me most about this story isn't just the legal victory or defeat, it's how it reveals the human cost of living your life in public. Johnny and Amber's relationship began as a genuine connection between two people who found something in each other that felt real and powerful. But the pressures of fame, the intensity of their personalities, and the toxic dynamics they created together turned that love into something destructive. Their story serves as a cautionary tale about the dangers of absolute power, unchecked behavior, and what happens when private dysfunction becomes public spectacle. It's about two people who lost themselves in each other, and in doing so, lost everything else that mattered. But it's also about resilience, about the possibility of redemption, and about the complex reality that truth isn't always black and white. Sometimes it exists in the messy, uncomfortable gray areas where hurt people hurt other people, where victims can also be perpetrators, and where the only real winners are the lawyers and the content creators who profit from other people's pain. The Johnny Depp and Amber Heard story isn't really over. It's become part of our cultural DNA, a reference point for discussions about justice, gender, and the price of fame. Years from now, people will still be debating what really happened between them and what their story tells us about ourselves. What do you think? Was justice served in that Virginia courtroom? Or did we all just witness the public destruction of two deeply troubled people who couldn't find their way back to each other? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I read every single one, and I love hearing different perspectives on these complex stories. If you found this deep dive as fascinating as I did, smash that like button. It genuinely helps us reach more people who love getting the real story behind the headlines. And don't forget to hit subscribe and ring that notification bell, because we're always uncovering the truth behind Hollywood's biggest scandals and most captivating stories. Next week, we're diving into another story that shocked the entertainment world. So make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss it. Until then, keep questioning what you see in the headlines, because the real story is always more complicated and more human than anyone wants to admit. This is StarWire Daily, and remember, behind every headline is a human story worth understanding.